I get a feeling it's going to be a riot.
This is a 12-volt dual motor power reels that I'll be converting to run on Dewalt 20-volt batteries. Now this is a 2 amp hour battery. I'd recommend a bigger battery, closer to maybe a 5 amp hour battery to get longer runtime, but this is what I have the most of on hand, so that's what I'm going to use for myself. Now you could also use other cordless lithium-ion batteries. Dewalt are the brand of tools I have myself, so that's what I'll be using, and that's the battery adapter I purchased. But there are others on the market available for tools such as Milwaukee and things of that nature. So choose whatever you have the most of or what you need. Now I already have the factory battery removed from this, and this is what the factory battery would plug into. And I also cut the plug off of the battery that I can use to wire into my setup instead of having to hardwire it in. So this would be completely reversible if you'd ever decide to sell it, or you want to run it on the original batteries again, or use it for another application. So fortunately, this car has a decent amount of real estate here for me to use for my setup. So here's a breakdown of the components I'll be using to convert to using a 20-volt Dewalt battery. First up is my battery adapter. Now, like I said, I'm using Dewalt products, so this is a generic Dewalt battery adapter that I purchased off either Amazon or eBay, I forget which one. Regardless, I'll put the link for each component I had to purchase in the description. So if you want to copy this setup, feel free to do so. So this is number one, the battery adapter. From there, I'll be running a 30 amp inline fuse. After the fuse, I'll be using this. This is a low voltage circuit protection board that's programmable to turn on and off at certain voltages. This is in place to protect the Dewalt battery. In the past, I've used setups that would completely discharge the battery to the point where a Dewalt charger wouldn't recognize them anymore. So this will be in place and probably set around a 15 volt mark, so that at 15 volts it will no longer provide power to the motors, protecting my battery and allowing me to recharge it without any issues from there. After the low voltage board, I'm going to go into this. This is a pulse width modulation DC motor speed controller. This will be in place to control the speed of the motors, the output that you're giving it. Kind of tying all this together then is this. This is a 30 amp 4-pin relay. This is so that neither the motor or the low voltage board have to carry the load from the motors. So this will kind of be wired in with everything. I have a wiring diagram I'm going to show here as well, so you can see the exact layout that I'll be using. And then lastly, this is the piece that would plug into the power wheels that I cut off the original battery that'll be wired into my setup here. So now that I have all this kind of laid out and identified, now I just need to wire everything up based on the wiring diagram I've created. So I've got my setup completely built now. The next thing I need to do is just get it installed. And when I put it in this car, really the only things I have to be conscious of are where I mount the battery adapter, because I'm using a smaller battery now, but if there's potential to use a larger amp hour battery, it's going to stick out further, so I have to be conscious of that. Then I need access to this to adjust the speed, and then also access to the low voltage board to make adjustments here if needed, and I can monitor the voltage there. But otherwise I can kind of mount everything, mount the relay so I can get to it, make sure I can still access the inline fuse, and then I can test it out. Well, that's it. My setup's all installed. I tested it. Everything works, so it should be a pretty bulletproof setup.